Okay, so recently I wrote a new installation script, or really just optimized my old one. So either way, I figured it'd be a nice time to talk about my hardware. My main laptop is this X200S, but it's a little bit different than the standard ones I typically repair or sell, or even like the X220s I repair or sell. It's very well customized towards my use case. So I wanted something with a lot of battery life, so I went with an ultra low voltage Core 2 Duo. It's 1.2 gigahertz of pure speed and would be impressive if the year was 2006. But besides the point, I get 5 to 8 hours of battery life with that. It's an X200S board and a X201 chassis, kind of forming this Frankenpad. The main advantage of that is I can have dual speakers, but I did listen to a lot of loud music on them, so they're a little bit blown out at the moment. But another interesting thing about it is this has kind of became a collection of a lot of unsellable parts that have minor damage, like the corner here, and things like, the case, for example, the 3D printed hard drive cover, or the RAM cover that is essentially had no rubber on it. So it's a little bit of a Theseus' ship problem, whether this is the same laptop I've been using for about 2 years. But it does have some original parts. The screws are the same, at least. One other thing I should mention, I actually edit my videos on this system. So I use this Ncurses interface FFmpeg thing I wrote a while back. I still need to update the GitLab. But I actually edit my YouTube videos on this. The rendering is quite slow, but this kind of allows me to use really whatever processor, as long as I have a fast and large capacity SSD with it. I think I have like a 2 terabyte 860 EVO in this. But anyways, with that, I think I should talk about the actual installation script. So I use Debian, and the normal installer has a few problems, as well as being a tad slow. So a while back I wrote this installation script to kind of solve some of the issues I had with that. For one, the free and non-free drivers are excluded, but with the script I can easily just edit a line and have my non-free driver just on the install from the get-go. So the other is, what happens if your computer that you're installing to, well, doesn't have a CD drive and doesn't boot off USB? So you don't really have a way to actually boot an image off that. So my solution to that is USB to SATA adapter, and then SATA to mSATA adapter, and then I essentially just take a mSATA drive, this is a Wi-Fi card, but it'll work for visual demonstration, and plug it into a mSATA to IDE adapter, and then plug it into the main system. So quite a bit more steps, but it does solve the issue, and the installation for this generally takes about 20 to 30 minutes depending on Wi-Fi speed. So let's actually get more into the script though, now that you know why I made it. So install scripts are pretty easy. If you can use the terminal and write an if statement, you can pretty much write an install script. Essentially all this installation script does is formats the drive, runs dbootstrap, runs apt-get, copies all my config files, and afterwards installs grub. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about the script, but it's very similar to my previous script. In fact, it's based off that one, which is called Tripcode's Auto Racing Debian script, if you want a more in-depth look at how to write an installation script. So the original reason I was going to write this was just to update it with a menu script, but I felt like I should do a little bit more optimizing. So we're going to talk about, well, the kind of rough around the edges scripts that come with my current script. So we're here in the tools folder, and if you notice, one of these I'm going to talk about is, well, XCW. So if I press Alt-Enter in the tools folder, I'm still in the tools folder, which is actually quite convenient. And cd ... and I'm in my regular home directory because URXVT will actually default to pretty much your set home directory without the software. But if I go into my install XCW script, it's really simple. Just installs one dependency, clones XCW, cd's the directory, makes sudo make install, and gives it the proper permissions. So that is a relatively simple script, but you have to do one other thing. So if I do vim.config/i3/config, sorry, not in the home directory there, and go to the end of the config file, my actual binding for RxVT, see if I can find it, maybe it's terminal, is exec.urxvt background, or BG for short. So if we actually take a look at that file on the other terminal here, we can see that it actually tests and see if this is installed for XCD or X. It actually tests to see if XCWD is installed, and then if it isn't, it will run an actual slightly different command. But if you just add /cd XCWD to the end of your URXVT while startup, it will actually cd to that directory. And the other thing, it simply just finds a random directory inside backgrounds and loads that, and they're all just different colors. So if I press Alt-Enter a bunch, you can see it's a bunch of random colors. So let's get rid of all that really quick. So that is one of the new things I added in tools, and that script works pretty well, but there's some more complicated ones that might need some optimization. Oh man, let's take a look at, well, now my mount script, but before we do that, we have to actually take a look at the latest version, which should be in my updated, well, installation script. So it's under this home directory, which is rsynced over, and if I ls/a this, you can see there's some also hidden files in there. But we're going to go take a look at the mount script. So that's just going to be VIM, or here, why don't we take a look at NerdTree 2 to see what it does here. So you can see there's a little tools folder here, and we can just go to mount script, and we'll first take a look at format.c. So you can open and close NerdTree, which is Control-N. So in this folder, you essentially just have a little C program here that will take a input of lines. For example, if we go to our second window here, type in lsblk, and you can see it outputs a few columns. So I think I actually have lsblk-lp as my sort of command to read the disk, but it will essentially accept a pipe from that, and I used grep to get rid of the first line, and then from there we can well, use format to get a column 0 and 3, which in this case is /dev/sda, and the size, so 1.8 terabytes. So if you want to see that in action, we'll just press Control, or actually I have it bound to Alt-M, and go to Mount, and it will output this and pipe it into DMENU, which essentially is i3's little notification bar. Later I might create an alias that has some a little bit more, well, at least has some colors and font choices, but for now it's just DMENU, not an alias for DMENU or anything like that. But it displays the thing here, and then it tests if you select, for example, a device, and it is an exit code of 1, which means you pressed exit or escape. It'll pretty much stop the script right there. So the next thing is the directory. So to find that, we'll do Alt-M again, and we'll mount /dev/sdb, and hopefully this isn't already mounted, but we'll mount it to mount, and it should pull up another window with all our files. So let's do something again, but purposefully create an error. So it will be the other condition here, where if you look at the line sudo mount device directory notify log, and if it equals a last command outputs 0, it'll start Ranger, but if it doesn't, it will display a little error message. So let's mount /dev/sdb to mount again, and it'll say it failed. But why did it fail? Well, why don't we take a look at that? So we can go into log, which is the fourth option down here, and we can just press log, and it'll say it failed because SDB's already mounted to mount 0. So let's just go into the other thing, which is umount, which is a little bit simpler because it just uses umount/l, so it's pretty hard to get something to fail that way. But if it does, it will still be added to the notify log thing. And finally, we just have lsblk output. And all of these use the notify send function, which unfortunately doesn't accept pipes, but otherwise works pretty well. So let's okay, and a final thing, let's see this actually work. So let me go to the scripts directory, and there should be one file in there, which is my current installation script. And if you can see here in tools, there's just a chroot script in case you want to actually mess with anything after the install, and you can't on the current system for some reason. Maybe it's lack of Wi-Fi or a similar issue, but either way, we're going to actually go into the script section here and --install sh. So this actually automatically resizes, and it's just a little menu selection for picking an installation drive. There's only 2 drives in the system, so it's not really the full capabilities. So I don't know if I can make this window any smaller, but we select that. Let's say SDB here. We're going to enter the username trip code 12345, and this is a 100 gigabyte drive for SDB. So let's select 100G, and do you want to install it? We'll select yes, and we'll do let's do a AMD 64 kernel, i3 other UI, and non-free firmware for Intel. How about we select no, and hopefully it detects something on here, because I'm actually not quite sure what's on this hard drive. So if it has an ext4 signature, I should be able to get out of this. But if not, I can always press Control C. It's one of the issues with my script is if you put garbage into it, like a drive that's already mounted for storage, it can have some issues. But either way, I guess that's my script, and if you want to take a look at DMENU, I guess that'd be the final thing. So let's go to scripts again and take a look at DMENU.c. So it's just line length and max lines. There's a lot of stuff for skipping lines in here, but this is what actually allows us to get a pipe from end curses. It's this little fscan f line. So because of that, we can fill in the buffer if the flag of P is given to it. So P for pipe, I guess. And that's pretty much it. Let's go to install.sh, but I'm not going to get too much into this as I already have a pre-existing video on how the script works and debootstrap and things like that. And again, it's not exactly the cleanest. I'll probably clean it up a little bit before I upload it, but it does have the end menu usage in here. So we're specifying a title here, x86 or AMD 64, and that's just for options. But let's see for the pipe here. So I think I use, oh, it's up there. It's the first thing. And the title is Pick Your Install Drive or Disk. And the pipe options available, and it pipes in fdisk after awk and set are ran. Anyways, peace. Not quite sure I'll use this outro, but hopefully you guys are having a good time and stay safe.